being a footballer is bigger than just actually saying, oh, I want to be a footballer and going out there and chasing a ball, running after a ball. It's about all these little elements that go into it, you know, the attitude, the discipline, the expectation, which is, I think, is massive, the expectation, because a lot of people don't realise the level of expectation that is put on one's shoulders to be successful at a club, you know. And what we do and what we're going to do at Command is let boys understand that the level of expectation is something that they can deal with, because I've known players, good players, to get into clubs and freeze because they're just sucked in and they just can't process or comprehend where they are at this present moment in time. So if we can eradicate that and give them the self-confidence and the belief that, and also the platform that they've been training to that standard already before they go into the club, I believe is going to give them a great and even better chance of being successful once they go into these professional academies. That's my favourite bar in that, so yeah, I'm going to pick up the main man from school, so I had to stop off and get him his favourite flapjack first. Because without that he would have killed me, so yeah, so just on the way to pick him up, but he had swimming today, so normally after school he's always really hungry, so it's always good to give him something to eat after school, because he gets in the car and he just, first thing he says to you, even for a hello, what have you got for me to eat? Got any food, Dad? You know, so yeah, try and get him something just to keep him ticking over until dinner time. Just a busy day today. We ordered some equipment to come through for the academy that we're looking to get up and running maybe at the end of October, God willing. But yeah, just started preparing and locking down facilities and balls and equipment and stuff. So yeah, it's been quite interesting, because again, it's gone from a conception to actually working on making it happen now. So it's now become real, you know, so which is always great, because sometimes when you have a vision, not everyone can see it, and once it starts coming together and you're getting things for it, then all of a sudden that reality kicks in and says, wow, this is really happening, and that's where we are with it. So we're at the stage now where it's like, wow, this is really happening. We're putting time and effort and money into it to make sure that we're up and running and ready for the end of October, you know, for Command's Football Academy. So that's the plan. It's about starting off with a vision, and the vision is, because I've been in football for such a long time, and I like to believe that I've earned my dues and I've paid my dues and I've cut my teeth in rain, sleet, hail, snow, watching players, speaking with clubs, seeing players develop. And sometimes what you have to remember, not sometimes but more often than not, you as an agent would have more contact with the player in a one-to-one level than maybe his manager might have, because as the agent, the player confides in you. He speaks to you about the issues that he's facing. He speaks to you about his lack of confidence, or what he's going into, or where he is in his life right now. And so sometimes these are the kind of information that I'm privy to, that I'll say 90% of managers and coaches are not privy to. So being armed with all that information and having all that experience has made it a lot more easier for me to be able to relate to a player, and that's whether you're a professional, non-league or grassroots player. You know, the steps that you will go through would always be the same, and it's only different because of the level that you're playing at, but the emotion side of it still remains the same, you know, because you're still human, and that's just a human factor that comes into part. So you have to still be able to maintain and advise and understand what that player is coming from. So being armed with all that information and knowing all of that, setting up an academy which will give boys opportunities to come in, train at a very high level, training environment which is going to be competitive, play fantastic academies, pro academies, really put the boys up against it and see where their levels are, pardon the pun, but see where their levels are, because it's all about development at the end of the day. And I think our academy is going to be great because it's also going to act as a showcase for other clubs to come and have a look at what we're doing over at Command Football Academy, because I think that's equally important, because you know, these boys, like I always say, sometimes players get missed, and what we're trying to do is to give these boys opportunities to come in to an environment where the levels are very high, the qualities will be very high, the coaching will be very high, the demands on the boys will be very high, and it just gives them the opportunity to experience a professional environment, if you like, but in a grassroots private academy, or I don't know if you can put them two words, but in an academy settings.
Joanna, your busy body busy tonight. Mad. Joanna, making all the dummy tonight. Joanna, your busy body giving.
Hello! I'm writing Command Football Academy on each ball because my dad got some new footballs.
Sorted it, done? Well, sometimes people will say they share the same vision as you, and sometimes people will say that they understand or can almost comprehend your vision, but the reality is being able to understand the vision is one thing, and being able to put that vision into process is another thing. And that's why I believe a lot of people come unstuck, because they believe that, okay, when something is in its infancy and at the embryonic stage, we can all sit down and talk about, I want to do this or I'm going to do that, but actually putting the meat onto the bones and structuring it and fleshing it out is a whole new subject. And that's where a lot of people fail, because fleshing it out and putting the meat on the bones takes a lot of time and effort and energy. And not only that, it takes experience. And a lot of people will sometimes say, I understand what you're saying, I share that vision, but when it comes to actually putting that vision into practice, a lot of people don't have the capability of doing it. They don't have the capability of doing it. And I've experienced that on several occasions where people have come to me and said, Ed, you know what, I want to get into the game, I want to be an agent, I want to give it a crack. And I'm saying, listen, that's fine, I'm all for supporting and I'm all for empowering and giving people opportunities, but you have to understand, this is not a game. This is not a game. This is people's lives you're dealing with. This is someone's career. This is somebody's livelihood. So you have to be serious 24/7. You can't afford to have a day off in terms of delivering the right advice, delivering the right information, having the right contacts, speaking to the right people, giving the right information to players in order for them to understand who they are, where they are and where they're going to. Being able to, again, have relationships with people high up in the game in order for them to allow for your player, which is the product, to come into the building, for them to shine. So all of these elements that people actually don't consider are elements that is paramount to a kid's development and a boy being successful or a girl being successful, because if you don't have these contacts and these relationships, then there's no way that you would ever get to the heights that you're looking for. And if you don't have that self-belief and that drive individually to say, okay, well, you know what, I'm going to make this happen, you're not going to get anywhere. Because we can all talk a good game, but talking it and walking it is two different things. It might look easy from the outside looking in, but I can assure you you know, is very, very difficult, and is tireless and sometimes thankless task, you know, because they believe it's easy, because they meet someone, they get their child into a club and they get a professional contract, and they think, well, you know, I've just waved that magic wand. But the reality is that magic wand never existed. It's been through years of building up relationship, years of contacts, and years of meetings, and letting people trust you, and people having to trust you, because this is a trust business, you know, and having good relationships and letting people see the type of work that you do. And people really do forget about all these elements when it comes into football, because they think that, okay, because I can play football and because my son plays football, you know, I can do the deal myself, or I can give him the right information. You can't give him the right information if you do not understand what you're talking about. Having a son that plays football to having someone that understands the business he's going into is two completely different things. And I think a lot of the time I find myself trying explaining that to parents and players also, because your parents are great, they want the best for you, of course they do. I myself want the best for you, but at the same time, you got to remember, when you're making that transition from grassroots football to professional football, you're going to need someone to walk you through and hold your hand and make you understand the contract that you're signing, the environment that you're getting into, the level of expectations that's going to be put on you on and off the pitch. All of these elements are massive key factors into one's development, whether they'll make it as a pro or not, because not everybody's cut out to be a professional. And being a professional sometimes is very, very difficult, especially for a kid that plays football for the love of it, and is now been thrusted into this professional environment that he never went into thinking he's going to be here. He just played football for the love of it, you know. So the work that we do is invaluable sometimes, and the information that we give is invaluable. And I just think people sometimes take that for granted because it comes so easy, and maybe because I make it look easy, people think it is easy, but the reality is it ain't easy.
How you doing, sir?
How you doing, man?
Right? Good.
Disgusting. That's so disgusting. 18 players versus 14 players.
You're full set back. I'm going to give a shout to Lee. The best goalkeeper by far here.
Mate, listen. 5 them, don't go there. 5, not 3.
He's got twice and he got this. Get him in the middle.
Come on, Junior.
Listen, left foot
One of the
like
players,
a
mate.
flipping wand.
Yeah. Best team in London.
Oh, Nick, don't start with that.
All those WhatsApps from earlier, they're coming back. All those WhatsApps from earlier.
Are you sponsored now? Are you sponsored?
They weren't working. Hope these are working.
What?
Macca! James! Go for it. That's enough said, enough said.
Well, no, I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting. My ankle in that car. So
Yeah, yeah, I was looking for it.
Boy, I've had these for 3 years now. They done the job, not gonna lie, but obviously wear and tear.
Look at that, he's scared now, just thought he don't want to play against me. Eve, you happy about playing against your dad? I am. This is going to be the best comeback ever. Joe! Hey!
that one. Eddie, nice one in. Press, he ain't got a left foot. He hasn't got a fucking left foot. Inside. Yeah, you got me.
Yes, keep it! Andy, son or no son? I've got 2 for him next time. Yeah? Son or no son? Take him out.
Yes, Reece! Go! Yes, Josh! Ethan!
Left. No, I'm showing you.
Hey, Reece!
Hey, Josh! Use the support! Use the fucking support!
I know, Hayes.
Shut him out. Shut him out, Maka. Where you going?
Just say something, look. Look here.
Bravo.
Boys, I need something to hit up top.
Tilt.
Win it, man. Take him out. Take him out.
We should be outside though.
I know, straight up.
Why is he winning?
I know, you see it.
Energy, man. Energy.
Look at that left foot. Why are you winning that orange kit anyway? We should be here with Dan.
Man up, man up. Chimman, man up. Yes, Ken, come in, Ken. Yeah, come here. Yeah, early, man. Come on, early. Yeah, early. And again. Time! Get past, man. Jump up, Kevin, man. Boy, talking up your mouth. Well in, Kev, stop. Kevin, well done, Kevin. Give it. Going, yes. Be careful. Kevin. Be careful. Kevin, you got to release it, man. Be careful. Sorry, don't let him do that. Stay there. Come on, guys, we've got to work. Give it, Tommy.
The line.
First kick. I told you the ball watching point. Boys, the ball watching there. There's got the ball watching there. Well done, boys. You caught Terry ball watching. Organised. Come on, George. Wake up, mate. Hey, George, come on, man. Yes. I know, it's true, no one's there with you. We're not working! Yeah, go on. Well done, go on, just go on, take him on. Well done! Yeah! That's come from being lazy up there! Marvin, that's what happened. Punish you all day long.
Come on,